The guy.
Atlanta with a 2-point lead as we go to the under-6 media timeout, and it is Al Horford who has really electrified this crowd in the early going, coming out with a lot of fire for the Atlanta Hawks and dominating inside. The Hawks with an early 2-point lead. Barry, let's send it over to Rick Bucher.
Thank you, Dan. You know, the Hawks were well aware that this.
Well, good ball pressure there by Jamal Crawford. You know he's throwing the ball on the post. Stan Van Gundy all over J.J. Redick. You got to get a better angle. Good Atlanta Hawk defense. They've got themselves out to a nice start here in the first quarter. The crowd's waking up, and it's the playoffs, baby.
The Atlanta Hawks have been kind of an up-and-down team this year.
Player of the year. That is some kind of block from the weak side as the Magic close the quarter on a 10-3 run to get this thing tied going into the second. But your defensive player of the year, oh boy, was that special.
So we're all tied up at the end of 12 minutes here at Phillips Arena.
Welcome back to Atlanta. I'm here with Orlando coach.
And when you don't have a true point guard out on the floor, that's what happens.
They still do take advantage of the absence of Howard. The Hawks have stretched the lead out to 5.
ESPN's presentation of the NBA playoffs. Brought to you by Kingsford Charcoal. Slow down and grill.
Early in the second quarter. This is game 3. The series is tied at 1. Game 4 will be here at Phillips Arena Sunday night. You can see that game on TNT. Game 5 Tuesday in Orlando. Game 6, if necessary, back here Thursday night. Game 7, if necessary, will be a week from tomorrow in Orlando. Some great former.
A second chance point there.
Timeout Atlanta. The Hawks lead has been cut down to 4 midway through the second. Kevin, thank you. And the NBA playoffs continue Sunday on ABC with the Heat taking on the 76ers at 1 Eastern, the Celtics and Knicks, and what's going to look like an elimination game for the Knicks the way things are going right now. Looks like both of those series will be 3-0 heading into Sunday. The Buick Regal NBA Countdown featuring John Barry begins at 12:30 Eastern time. Anything surprise you about these two series? You think they'd be closer?
No, I felt Boston would win this series easily. I know they weren't playing well. I thought the Heat would win this series easily as well. And they're off of great plays. A great block on the other end by Josh Smith. And Joe Johnson makes it pay on the other end with the easy jumper.
Joe Johnson having a big night. 15, and Atlanta's got a double-digit lead. Oh, it is all working right now here in Atlanta. The Hawks lead the Magic by 10 here in Game 3. The series tied at 1 apiece. NBA playoff action continues on ESPN tomorrow night with a pair of Game 3s. It'll be San Antonio and Memphis. That series all tied up at 1. And then the Thunder head to Denver with Oklahoma City up 2-0 on the Nuggets. The NBA playoffs on ESPN, home of the Western Conference Finals. How about Memphis? Huh? How about Memphis?
They're giving the Spurs all they can handle. Really played well in Game 2.
Right now.
That's
been
a good
more
shot.
than 4 minutes since they made a field goal. Joe Johnson, JB, though, a whole different story. Getting the ball inside, really getting his work done.
Yeah, he's on the attack. How about the cradle here as he goes into the lane for the beautiful teardrop over the outstretched arms of Richardson. And the Hawks looking good here, up 12 in the first half.
And the Atlanta Hawks doing their fair share as well, up 12 points, some really good defense. Orlando's gone cold as we take a look now at our Sony big picture and the big Shamrock, whatever you want to call him, Shaquille O'Neal. They seem to be doing fine without him. Right?
I call him Mike Wilbon because he's given him 5 good minutes in about the last 2 months.
How about this guy? A little bit more than 5 good minutes, huh?
4 for 18 last night, but the 4th one, a game-winning layup. The guy is just unflappable.
And Miami, a big Game 3 from the Big 3. They're up 3-0 on the Sixers.
Very impressive, but as the competition gets better, don't expect them to be combining for 60, 70, 80 points.
Second half will be all right.
All right. Good luck in the second half. We'll see you then. Back to you, Dan.
Rick, thanks very much. Joe Johnson with 17 to lead the way for Atlanta. The Toyota halftime show's coming up. Kevin Connors, Chris Mullin, Jalen Rose will look at the Celtics and Knicks, and also we'll look ahead to the Lakers and the Hornets. The series is tied as 1. This is a big-time Game 3 here in Atlanta. Dwight Howard doing what he can, called for a goaltending there. The Atlanta Hawks, though, playing hard tonight. They've got a 51-42 lead at the break on the Magic. Stay tuned for the Toyota halftime show coming up after these messages. Is presented in 3D by Sony. Back inside Phillips Arena, Dan Shulman and John Barry as the Atlanta Hawks make their way back onto the court. Joe Johnson with a big first half, 17 points to lead all scores. Atlanta looking for a 2-1 lead in the best-of-7 first-round series. Dan Shulman and John Barry. The lead has been cut down to 5.
5 straight poor looks by the Atlanta Hawks. Now Josh Smith with a long 3 that leads to a long rebound, which gets the Magic out in transition. Richardson finding Tirico, who lays it in, and the Magic making an early run here in the third.
ESPN's presentation of the NBA playoffs, brought to you by Carfax. Free at your used car dealer. Just say, "Show me the Carfax."
Back in Atlanta, the Orlando Magic have cut the deficit down to 5. Dwight Howard getting so much acclaim for his offensive numbers here in this series. But how about winning the Defensive Player of the Year in the NBA for the 3rd consecutive year? The first player ever to do that. Huge block numbers and rebounding numbers year after year after year in the NBA. 6th season with more than 1,000 rebounds and 100 blocks. If he does it once more, he'll tie Moses Malone for the most ever in that regard. And Dwight Howard, needless to say, Atlanta can't get anything going in the half court. They get out in transition. And Josh Smith restores the lead for the Atlanta Hawks. But it's been Dwight Howard going to town on the inside for the Orlando Magic. They were down 14 in the first half. They're down 2 right now. When the NBA playoffs continue on ABC, that both the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics have a chance to eliminate their opponents and to move on to the next round. The NBA playoffs on ABC, home of the NBA Finals. Coverage begins with Buick Regal NBA Countdown at 12:30 Eastern. From 9 down to 4. Joe Johnson has been the guy to get the good looks, many of them for the Atlanta Hawks tonight. He's the high scorer for Atlanta. Dwight Howard at the defensive end and the offensive end, keeping the Magic in it.
Welcome back to Atlanta. I'm here with Hawks.
Nobody in the history of the NBA has made more 4-point plays than Jamal Crawford. He'll have a chance for one when he heads to the line coming out of the timeout. A desperately needed basket for the hometown Hawks that is putting them back in the lead.
I think the guys, along with myself and the NBA, are so committed to the communities that we live and play in, because we were once these kids. To be able to touch lives and get out there and make a difference means a lot to all of us. That means the world to kids. You know, that little small effect can last them a lifetime. I am Jamal Crawford of the Atlanta Hawks. On behalf of my teammates and the Hawks organization, enjoy the rest of the game.
One of the real gentlemen to sit and talk with before a basketball game as well. Jamal Crawford, what they love about him right here in the 4th quarter.
Yep.
This is Game 3, Game 4 Sunday night here in Atlanta. TNT has that one for you. Game 5 Tuesday back in Orlando. Game 6 if necessary Thursday here in Atlanta. And Game 7 also if necessary, of course, in Orlando on TNT a week from tomorrow night. Kind of has the feel of a long series.
Yeah, I think so.
Free throws coming for Jameer Nelson when we return. Atlanta, though, finding a second win offensively. It started with Al Horford with a baseline drive. Jamal Crawford knocking down shots from the outside. Horford doing the same, and Atlanta's back on top. So for the Magic, Larry Drew preaching smart offense.
Capable going up and blocking.
The NBA playoffs continue Sunday on ABC. The Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics will both be looking to move on as they take on the 76ers and Knicks respectively. It all begins with Buick Regal NBA Countdown at 12:30 Eastern Time. The NBA playoffs on ABC home of the NBA Finals.
Biggest. Back to you, Dan.
Rick, thank you very much. A phenomenal fourth quarter for Jamal Crawford. 12 of his 23 points coming in the fourth quarter. Once again, he leads the way offensively for the Atlanta Hawks. One of the best 6 men of the NBA leads them to a victory here in Game 3 as the Hawks beat the Magic 88-84 to take a 2-1 lead in the best of 7. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For John Barry, Rick Bucher, and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Dan Shulman saying thanks for watching, and so long from Phillips Arena here in Atlanta, where the Hawks have defeated the Magic 88-84. Now let's go to Kevin Connors in our ESPN studios.